Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Earlier this summer I took you guys on a road trip to see the Sunrise Ferry in the Pine Barrens of Wisconsin. Well, today we're going to start in the Pine Barrens and we're going to head north towards the Fish Lake area, which is just south of Grantsburg. Should be a great day for hitting some sandy gravel roads. We'll definitely do some two-track and hopefully a little bit of off-roading as well. So let's get rolling. As I started to do some research and learn more about this area, I became more aware of its interesting history and just how large of an area it really is. This road is just one of hundreds that runs through the Pine Barrens area of Wisconsin. I didn't realize that the Barrens covers a huge swath of land in western Wisconsin, totaling 1,500 square miles. The Fish Lake Wildlife Area is just part of this vast wild space and is located in the southern section, just a few miles southwest of Grantsburg. Historically, this area was covered with large jack and red pine, wide expanses of prairie grass, wildflowers, and various types of ferns and brush. When Europeans began settling in the area in the mid-1800s, they were ready to do what they knew best, farming. They began clearing the land, but the sandy conditions only produced poor crops. By the late 1800s, farmers began to drain the sedge or grass marshes in the area in hopes to make a living framing and producing cranberries. Their efforts ultimately failed, and the damage done to the land upset the ecological balance of the area. This area was also prone to fire, and in the early 1900s, fire control efforts began. The result was prairie land that was overgrown by oak and jack pine forest. The loss of the grassland habitat also meant a decline of native species of wildlife. So last week I was up in this area and it was very wet and very muddy. It's just amazing what a week of nice weather and sunshine can do to a road, isn't it? Today it's very dry and pretty dusty. In 1912, much of the marshland near Grantsburg was purchased by the Krex Carpet Company, who sent the sedge or wiregrass down to St. Paul to manufacture grass rugs and furniture. But by the 1930s, the business struggled and went bankrupt. By 1940, due to the Depression, drought, failed agricultural attempts, and wetland damage, 2/3 of this area was tax delinquent. Following World War II, the Wisconsin Conservation Department, or what we now know as the DNR, purchased these lands for public hunting. And in 1946, the 14,000-acre Fish Lake Wildlife Area became a reality. Alright, well, we just finished a section that brought us through the Pine Barrens, and this road behind me is the southern border of the Fish Lake area. So just across the road here is a wildlife reserve area for fish and for birds, and it's really a beautiful spot, and we're going to hit a beautiful two-track that runs through it on the middle section, I guess. That's a good way to put it, kind of the middle west side of the Fish Lake area. management of this area really began in the 1950s, as dikes, just like the one I'm driving on now, were built to reflood the drain marshes. Runoff ponds, flowages, and controlled burning have also helped restore over 3,000 acres of brush prairie. So I just stopped real quick to take a look, and what a beautiful area. Absolutely gorgeous. It just goes on forever. Timber production is also part of the land management as well, and this open gate on this logging road with no signs restricting travel is just too much temptation not to explore. Last weekend I saw this logging road and it was muddy, and I went probably 50 yards and decided not going to do it if I'm all by myself. Today I went much farther, and it's sandy and it's dry, so that's pleasant. They're not working, which is good. I probably don't know if I should be here if they're working, and it's just going to dead end up here. So I'm going to head back to the dike road and we'll keep on going. With the return of the wetlands and grasslands comes the return of native wildlife, and by the looks of these sandhill cranes, they're doing quite well. hunting and trapping to hiking and biking, there are all kinds of activities you can do here. Auto travel is allowed, but stay on the trails and don't go through any closed gates. In the winter, you can also fire up the snowmobiles, strap on the cross-country skis, and snowshoes. For me, I just enjoy kicking up some dust and soaking in the sights and sounds of the wind through the trees and grass and listening to the calls of the migrating birds. If you want to learn more about the Pine Barrens and the Fish Lake Wildlife Area, I've left a link to the DNR page below. Well, right now I'm at the end of Southwest Dyke Trail, and that's all I'm going to do today. I'm going to head home. There are a bunch of roads out here in the Fish Lake area, so if you find yourself in western Wisconsin, in that Grantsburg area, come visit this place. It's worth it. It's worth it to ride a mountain bike out here or explore with a truck or even with a car on some of the gravel roads. You wouldn't have a problem at all. It's just a great place to visit. I try to get here a couple times a year when I come up to Siren to visit family. So if you enjoyed the video and want to see more roads like this, please give me a like, and subscribe helps me bring those roads to you. I really appreciate that. Until the next video, you guys take it easy, and I'll see you all down the road.